So welcome to the Plastic Surgery Channel. This is No Spin Live COVID-19 edition. Today I am joined by Dr. Bajaj from Oklahoma City and Dr. Kristi Hustak from Houston. And good to see you both. And we were chatting just a little bit before the start here. Obviously everybody's lives are changed with this, and particularly as plastic surgeons, we're in a bit of unusual territory here. And I'm interested to know, Anu, were you doing any virtual consults before this?
No, I was completely in person. I did my first virtual consult probably last week of March, because we shut down March 17th, which was the week of spring break. So I didn't do a virtual consult until 2 weeks later.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the same. Kristi, what about you?
No, I mean, we have been tickling with it, over the last year or so, because patients are asking for it. So we have done kind of modifications of this, initial conversations, particularly with some out-of-town patients or some rural patients where it's very difficult for them to come in. Sometimes they'll reach out to us in kind of a virtual via email way. I just think technology is getting better, and now we're forced to do it. So we're getting a little more robust with it and really trying to pay attention to HIPAA, so nobody's coming in and Zoom bombing us or whatever the new thing is.
No, right, I know. Well, we're using DoxyMe, and that's worked out pretty well. I've heard some issues with Zoom. Some pretty crazy stuff going on with some of that. But I would agree with both of you. I think this is going to become a bit of a new norm. Not that we'll do all of our consults, because there's still something about having that personal touch. But for patients who are from a long way off, the ability to have the conversation, maybe come up with a quote range for them, give them an idea what cost would be, and then if they decide it's worth it, to come on in. So yeah, I suspect we'll all be using this a lot more going forward.
Yeah, I agree. We're also using DoxyMe, and I've been happy with it. I've been using the free version right now, but I'm thinking about upgrading to the paid version, especially if I end up doing a lot more virtual consults. Because in Oklahoma, it's probably similar for both of you guys, where it's spread out, and patients drive 1 to 2 hours routinely to come into the city to see their doctor, and that's hard all the time.
That's a big deal. And you're right too on the virtual follow-ups, not just the consults, but there's a lot of things that we could all do, or if somebody's having a problem. I mean, we do that now a little bit. They'll send you a picture. I think that ability to speak to them directly is valuable. So yeah, we're going to make some lemonade out of the lemons here. Now, I'm interested though, before we leave this topic, have either of you found some patients being a little reluctant to embrace this, to do virtual consults?
Yes, I think some of the older patients who are not as technology savvy are hesitant and very distrustful of the whole concept. And so they want to come in. And then even some of the younger patients, it's interesting, they even want to come in. But, for right now, the choice is you do virtual or reschedule you out. And so I'd much rather do the virtual.
Sure.
I think, there's a barrier to access too. I mean, I have a lot of Latin patients, and they're on different types of apps, like WhatsApp, things like that. These ones having to download these kind of HIPAA compliant mediums. I think not only is it impersonal, but it's hard to access some of these sometimes for some people. Obviously the older population that isn't as technologically savvy. I mean, any of us that have touched base with some of our parents on these things, it's like, oh my gosh, just do it already. So there is some kind of barrier to just access, I think too.
Yeah, we've kind of all those things you guys mentioned, and some patients just say, I just want to do it in person, which is okay. They just have to be understanding that it's going to be a while, and unfortunately, none of us really know what that timeline looks like. That's the other thing too, the uncertainty of it all, because normally you can say, well, yeah, talk to my coordinator, we'll get you set up, we're booking, a few weeks out, whatever, and it's all up in the air. So it's going to be, but I found most patients, they get it. We're all kind of in this together, right? And it's kind of understanding. Well, let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about, I'm interested to hear what you guys are doing kind of for mental health, maybe a little physical health too. It's not being able to go to the gym or fitness center or to classes is affected us all. What are you doing, Kristi, in terms of That's
Oh, well, it's so funny because, I think all of us are grieving to some degree, in some more profound ways than others. I think I'm grieving the loss of autonomy. It's a very funny thing to have somebody tell me I can't operate, I can't see my friends, I'm incredibly social. So that's what's killing me. I mean, I love my family, obviously, and my husband, but, in your little tiny circle, it's nice to have some reprieve. And so, we're embracing the, Zoom meetings with friends, where we're all having a glass of wine and unwinding, just chatting like we normally would. We're just not next to each other. And so some of those kind of funny ways to connect, I think, grounds me a little bit more and gives me some perspective. So I'm not just in my little bubble driving myself nuts. So
sure. No. Anu, how about you? What are you doing?
Well, so I think I'm a little bit less social probably than Kristi, but so I do normally what
I think most of us are a little less social than Kristi, but that's okay.
My life has always revolved around my little bubble, and my most social place was actually my office.
Right.
But I do agree that we are going through a grieving process for the loss of our previous life, and you will have to go through all the phases of grief and reach acceptance, and that's what I've been trying to reach. I've been doing my usual running and yoga via live stream since I can't go to yoga classes.
Right.
Trying to organize my office, but then I've also, one of my big passions has always been writing, and you guys remember that from Plastic Surgery News.
Yes.
So I've started taking two online writing workshops, and I'm hoping to find my plan has always been that I will become a writer. So maybe I will find my second career too.
Right. This could maybe jumpstart that. So there's, some more lemonade coming out of lemons. That's great to hear. Yeah, we've got a small farm in north of Indianapolis, and we've had some pretty nice weather here lately. So I've gotten out and, oh man, my trees are trimmed up. All these little projects that I need to do.
I have calluses.
Yeah. Oh man, I've got them too. Seriously. Yeah. And, but that's been kind of fun. The other thing, a little hobby I have is bonsai. And so this is a good time of year to go out and collect trees, specimen trees that you might develop. And I usually don't have time to do that. The other thing I always like this time of year is go mushroom hunting. And I never have time. So I've got time to do both those things now. So yeah. So again, we've got to make something positive. But, the reality is none of us individually can really change any of this. And we've got to, I guess, just embrace it and make the best of it. The virtual consultations have been an example of that. And, but we need to take care of ourselves as well. So it sounds like you guys are both doing a great job of that. So, well, I think, any last comments, Kristi or Anu, that you have?
It'll be interesting, as we talk about relaunching into practices in life again. I mean, everybody's talking about this post-coronavirus world. I mean, it is going to be different. There's so many different interactions, shaking hands, just simple things like that is going to change dramatically. So it'll be, coronavirus is not going to go away in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, so it's going to be interesting how life develops, certainly.
I think it'll definitely be a huge change, because what I remember is, back in the 80s and 90s when HIV came into being, that really changed the way we practice medicine and our screening protocols. And that's where we came up with the shields and the eye protection. Because if you remember, before that, we didn't really worry about eye protection or even gloves all the time when we dealt with open wounds and stuff or drains. And
or trauma cases in the ER. Yeah,
exactly. And so now we're very particular. So I think the whole coronavirus is really going to change how we approach things.
Yeah, I think those are really good observations. I mean, the world is going to be different, how we interact with each other. And Kristi, to your point, this isn't going to go away and just not reappear. We're going to have to adjust for this. And I think at the end of the day, it just requires some flexibility on everybody, on surgeons, our staff, on the patients. Everyone just needs to realize that we all got to do our best. We're all in it together. And be nice to each other.
Yes, a little compassion and empathy go a long way to.
I think it's so important, and I think you're seeing a lot of that. So hopefully that continues to be the case. Well, listen, I want to thank both of you very much for participating. Some interesting insights, and glad to hear that you're both doing well. And would encourage the viewers to stay tuned to the Plastic Surgery channel and come to us for all the information about aesthetic and reconstructive plastic surgery. And we encourage you all to stay healthy and social distancing. Wash those hands.
Wash your hands, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. All right.